Well, hey there. Hey guys, I am just making my coffee, my afternoon coffee after lunch. Had some Chick-fil-A Christian chicken today. I feel like I should buy stock in that place because I go there probably
No advertising.
16. Oh yeah. Get that. QT didn't pay
They
to
didn't pay
advertise
yet.
here.
We didn't get that check yet.
Yeah, we probably spend more money at QT and Chick-fil-A than any other two places. I take that back. Amazon. Oh my good golly, Amazon. I did actually buy stock in Amazon, no joke. Is Chick-fil-A publicly traded? I need to see. I think it's still privately held, so I don't even think you can buy stock. That's too bad. I would definitely do it if I could. I've never seen a Chick-fil-A that was empty, except for Sundays. You know, it's pretty disappointing. When you pull up Sundays, you're like, yes, I am really wanting some Christian chicken, and then you're like, crap, it's Sunday. I can't go. So, yeah, big Chick-fil-A fan. I had their grilled market salad with apple cider vinaigrette, and it was delicious. So, now I have to have my coffee with honey because I don't know why. It's still sugar, so we're still putting sugar in our bodies, but honey, I guess, is better than processed sugar, white sugar, right? I don't know. One of you health and fitness experts out there could tell us, hey, fun fact, I actually am a level 1 certified personal trainer, CrossFit instructor, whatever, but I have never trained or personalized anyone in my life before. Okay, so guys, we are live. Let's see, this is our 11th episode of question and answer time. Josh got me this cool new microphone, so hopefully the sound is coming through for you guys a little bit better this week.
Yeah, ask maybe we can, if you can hear him, or they may not be able to hear me at all now.
Oh gosh.
Which might be good, actually.
Hey, that is good. I don't know if you guys can hear Josh or not, so, you know, comment, let us know if you can hear me, if you can't hear Josh. I'm actually disappointed if they can't hear you though, Josh, because that helps with the question and answer time for sure. We did get a question from Beth Wadsworth. Hey Beth, I hope you're listening today. I don't know, is Beth tuned in yet? Or
I can't see names. I see Pam Kirby Shin.
okay.
And she did say they can hear me, so
Well, hey, good.
I guess I'm a loud guy.
Thank you, Pam. All right, good. All right, so Beth Wadsworth, love Beth. Beth is actually one of my best friends, Tim Wadsworth's moms. And Beth, I say this with all the love in the world, Beth is a little crazy, but I love her. All right, so Beth sent in a question.
She's here. She says hello.
Perfect.
Yes, she's
hey,
here.
Beth. All right, we love you. We missed you. I haven't seen you in at least a week. So, all right. So Beth sent in. She said, "Big black ants have gotten into our kitchen and they bite. Besides calling you, what do you recommend to get rid of them?" Okay. Well, when it comes to ants, Beth, I mean, first of all, you can squash them. I know that's not the answer you're looking for. So big black ants, they could be carpenter ants, or they could be black field ants. Both of those are pretty large ant species that we have in this area. And of course, big is a relative word there, so big black ants could mean that they're 1/8 of an inch long, or maybe more like 1/4 of an inch long. And in the ant world, that's a huge difference. But assuming that they're close to 1/4 inch long or bigger, then that's probably either carpenter ants or black field ants. Extremely hard to distinguish the difference between the two of them. In fact, when you put them under the microscope, I'm not making this up, guys, there's a small circle of hair on the butt of a carpenter ant, and so you look for the hairy butt. True story, to tell the difference.
You make this stuff up, don't you?
I'm not making it up. If they were carpenter ants, of course, you know, it would be really good if you could find the colony, find the nest, which they get their name carpenter ant because they are going to chew holes through wood members. not necessarily indoors, but they can be indoors or outdoors, especially with water damaged wood and things like that. So old stumps and maybe even rotted places, rotted tree limbs, things like that. Outdoors, on the inside of the house, if you've had water leaks, roof leaks, leaks around windows, things like that, those could be places where there might be some hidden water damage in the house. That's one of the places that's most susceptible to carpenter ants kind of getting started, because that softer wood is just easier for them to excavate and make their home. If you can find where their home is at, then of course treating that colony, treating those galleries. So the galleries would be the tunnels that they make essentially in the wood to live and build their colony, lay eggs, live life happily ever after. Dusts are good for those galleries. Aerosols can work in those galleries. You're probably not going to necessarily get enough liquid in those galleries to really do enough damage. I have pulled back insulation in floor joists and found carpenter ants underneath the insulation in the crawl space before, where if I have I'm just going to use layman's terms here, a can of spray, a can of bug spray, and I spray them down when I find them. That is really the best method. We are going to use a foam pesticide, so it's kind of, I don't want to say it's an expanding foam, because that's not technically true, but foam by nature will push through those galleries and fill those galleries, and of course it coats the walls of the galleries as it goes, and it's very, very effective. So that is just a very brief rundown if it was carpenter ants. If it's black field ants coming in, then they're going to have a nest 99% of the time. It's outdoors, and they just happen to have some occasional invaders coming in. Black field ants typically don't come in very often, so I would lean more toward the carpenter ant side. But they could, certainly, if you can find that colony, you can treat that colony and destroy it by drenching it with enough volume of liquid pesticide. There isn't really a bait that I would recommend out there available for carpenter ants or field ants that seems to be super effective. So drenching those colonies with enough volume of pesticide would really be the best method if you can find the colonies. And that's the case with any ant infestation, is taking the time to see if you can trail those ants back to the colony, find the colony, and then destroy the colony. Carpenter ants are probably one of the more tricky, tough insects to track back to a colony. You can trail the ants, and sometimes that does work. Sometimes it's really like finding a needle in a haystack, though. One of the things that we're going to look for, though, is they will leave small piles of frass, and frass is just a term we use for the sawdust that they kick out. So the pile of frass is almost like their city dump, their landfill, if you will, because they're kicking out small bits of sawdust that they've excavated, and bug parts from their dead, fallen comrades. So sometimes you'll see an ant head or an ant butt laying there. Sorry, the butt is the abdomen. So we'll use the right terms here. A couple of legs and things like that, just randomly scattered in this pile of kind of rough, gritty dirt, for lack of a better term. But when we find those piles of frass, that gives us a really strong clue where that colony is at, because of course they're kicking it out of a hole from somewhere, and so it's going to be straight up directly above wherever that frass is at, and then we can start maybe tapping around on some walls and things like that, see if we can find where that colony is at. We can drill into the walls, we can inject foam, dusts, other forms of pesticide, other formulations. So I hope that's helpful. If it is carpenter ants, even with a professional, it can be very difficult to find. So that would be my answer on that. Anyway, if there are more questions, more follow-ups to that, Beth, obviously just let us know. You can always send that to Josh through Facebook or Instagram or whatever.
I'm curious if it wound up not being one of those larger ants, if it was, Argentine or
Sure.
Another type of ant. What would be the process then of dealing with those instead of?
Yeah, so, I mean, that's a good question. I'm glad Josh is asking that question just for clarification. So I did mention in my spiel there that really the best method for any ant colony is to locate the colony itself and drench that colony with enough volume of pesticide to eliminate the whole colony. I'm going to use a fire ant colony as an example. Because this would be kind of another extreme example. Fire ant colonies, they're documented to tunnel down as deep as 8 feet into the ground, which is super deep for any insect, really. So when we talk about using enough volume for a fire ant mound, usually I'm not going to just stand at the top of the mound and use a little sprayer and drench the top, because I'll certainly kill whatever's there right at the surface and in that big mound that they create. But I know that mound goes deep underground as well. It usually isn't going to go 8 feet deep. That is kind of an extreme example, but we do know they can tunnel very deep. What I've often done when I'm treating a fire ant mound, there are some really good fire ant baits out there, so drenching is not necessarily needed for fire ants, but if I am drenching, I will use that as an example where I'll take a long metal rod usually and actually jam that into the mound as I drench with liquid and work that liquid down into the soil to make sure that it fills those galleries and those tunnels that I can't see underground with the liquid pesticide, because I want to get 100% kill. I want those ants to have the apocalypse rain down on them and feel the burn. Anyway, that is the best method for any ant colony. Most of the ant colonies that we see, so Argentine ants and odorous house ants, those are probably the most common ants we see coming indoors. And they are going to be a smaller size ant. You can tell the differences between Argentines, odorous house ants versus fire ants. Fire ants can have a similar size, but fire ants are going to have that slightly reddish brown coloration to them. And then also fire ants are going to be polymorphic. Polymorphic means that there's different sizes. So you got the big Brutus ant that's walking around with the fire ants. He's like the bouncer, but then you got the teeny tiny little brother tagging along right behind him, and they're all from the same colony, but they can be a bunch of different sizes, anywhere from I think like a 1/16 of an inch to almost up to a 1/4 inch size or so. Carpenter ants are actually going to be like 1/4 inch up to almost like 1/2 an inch, so they can be really large. Odorous house ants, Argentine ants, they're all going to be pretty similar in size, about 1/8 of an inch long. So pretty consistent there.
And they would just be coming in after water or food, what they're
That's right.
scavenging for.
Water and food. This year we've had a relatively decent amount of rainfall. Rainfall will affect how many ants that we see coming indoors. So when it gets really hot and dry, we can actually have a lot more ant phone calls than normal, and where we start questioning, okay, are our technicians doing a good job with the service and this and that. But what we see is when it gets really hot and dry and we go through drought seasons, which we've had in recent years, those ants are coming in. They'll start showing up in bathrooms and other places where there's a water source, because most people think, the kitchen is where I'm going to see ants. But anywhere where there's water, those ants are going to be coming in looking for that moisture. So we see them a lot in bathrooms as well. Keep in mind too, ants are looking for anything that could be a food source, even things that we don't see as a food source, things like toothpaste residue that's on the floor, or in the sink smeared around on the countertops, things like that. Or if you have dog food and cat food, they love dog food, they love cat food, they'll even eat bird seed and things like that. They really will eat anything that you leave out. So be mindful of that. Make sure that you're keeping Fido and Fluffy's food put up and sealed and those kinds of things. Be mindful of where the water dishes are, and if you start to see a problem, it may be necessary for you to move those food sources or water sources outside and away from your living space, possibly. So, yeah, hopefully that's all helpful. All right, so we actually are up against the time here, so it has been our allotted 15 minutes. So I'm going to wrap it up with that if there aren't any other last-minute questions.
No, just make sure we go over the contest that will be next Friday. We'll be drawing. So.
Yes, thank you. I always forget about the contest. I'm glad Josh is here because, anyway, it's all about the people around you. You know, the company is as good as it is because of all these people around me. It's definitely has nothing to do with me. So just like Tara you met last week, Josh, who is always behind the camera, he has a face for radio. I'm just kidding. I love his face.
And a body to go with it.
Yeah, he does. My goodness. Can't get enough. The body just won't quit. So, the contest, guys, we are giving away one free year's worth of pest control. I think I said that a little funny, but a free year's worth of pest control service to 2 lucky winners, one for the upstate, one for the Columbia Midlands area, so it doesn't have to be a Columbia address, anywhere around there, Blywood or Casey, Irmo, those areas. So all you have to do is you like the post for the free giveaway on Facebook, so it is Facebook only, and make sure then you comment with your name. I'm sorry, a friend's name, because we'll have your name from the comment, sorry. But a friend's name and the city you live in. That's it. That's all we need. So you don't have to have some long post about how awesome and wonderful we are, although you can. All we need is just a friend's name that you tag in there and the city you live in, and then you will be entered. It's as easy as that. So we're looking forward to it. We'll announce that next Friday. Do we have a specific time next Friday?
No, it'll just be sometime in the afternoon when we get a free
Perfect.
moment. Yeah.
Perfect. When things settle down. It is the last Friday of the month, so next Friday could be a little crazy. It always gets crazy the last couple days of the month because we're cramming in the last few service orders and things that we have in. We are thankful to be so busy. We actually have a couple of new guys. I will throw that in. Got a few new guys, 3 new guys actually, that are starting because we have been so busy this summer. So we're very thankful for that again. We've got Alex McReynolds, who is starting with us on this coming Monday, the 26th. So welcoming Alex, great guy. He was referred by one of our current employees, Drew, who, if you know Drew is amazing. I wish I could clone Drew. He's fantastic. We have a lot of good guys, but Drew's definitely one of the best. So Alex is starting on Monday. Another referral from Drew is Stephen Kraus. Stephen Kraus is going to be starting the Tuesday after Labor Day, so that'll be September 3rd. And Stephen's actually going to work in our office and help answer the phones and do some of the scheduling. So he'll be under the guidance of Tara that you guys met last week. And then we have a 3rd guy, Jeremy Baldwin, who will also start on September 3rd, and he is going to be another technician helping out in the field. So we're very thankful to have these guys starting. They all seem to be really good guys. We try to be very picky when we hire because we do not, want the Bubba brothers that got a, whatever, certificate from wherever that said that they know how to read and write, and that's about it. We want to make sure that our standards are pretty high. We want quality people and people that we feel comfortable sending into your homes and into your businesses, and that are just going to do the job right. So anyway, we welcome these guys and look forward to having them with us for a long time. But guys, send in your questions. We'll see you next week at 2 o'clock. We're signing out.